Kyle Shanahan, speaking of instincts right now, his instincts are to score, get a lead, and then sit on the football until his defense can end the game and the clock hits zeros. You did not like Kyle Shanahan taking the field goal on fourth down, and what did it turn into? Like a fourth
yard and a half, maybe?
Because they lost like half a yard on the Jeff
I think
Wilson
they gave him a bad spot, though, and
Okay.
it was actually a little past the yard. It probably should have been closer to the 2, but I don't think it was as long as they deserved.
Got it. Okay, so they had a fourth down. They were up by 4, right? Is that what it was? No, that doesn't.
Up 5.
Up 5. So they kicked the extra point they kicked the field goal, to make it 8 at the beginning. This is the very start of the fourth quarter. So the question was, would an 8-point lead hold up for one quarter? Kyle's putting it on his defense. Now, as it turned out, we didn't have to totally find out because his defense scored him a touchdown. I thought it was defensible. You did not.
My main issue is we're not looking for Brandon Staley or John Harbaugh here being reckless with fourth down calls or being even aggressive at the end of the half. Kyle goes into halftimes a lot with timeouts.
Yeah.
And this game, I think that was symbolic that led to the second half decision. And McVay's very similar to this. For young offensive gurus, they are such stick in the muds when it comes to being aggressive. Let's rewind to the end of the half.
Yeah.
You can't fucking stick your finger or your toes into the water. You either got to jump in or just go into the house. And Kyle loves dipping his foot into the water, throws the screen. If that goes for 15 yards, then they'll get up quick, run another play, or call timeout.
Super Bowl.
I just fundamentally either kneel the fucking ball or run a normal play. Like, to me, you cannot make a Super Bowl run if your mindset's always going to be, and I'm not comparing, I understand they don't have Patrick Mahomes, but the reason Patrick Mahomes snapped on Eric Bieniemy, even though ironic, Eric doesn't call the plays. If you notice on Sunday Night Football, Andy's calling the plays.
So when he's mad at Andy, he yells at Eric.
The point is, pedal to the metal in a situation. If you want to just kneel it, okay. But you can't. I hate the half in, half out. And clearly that Kyle has made a career. And you'd be like, well, it's Jimmy. Doesn't trust Jimmy. Well, so he didn't trust Trey either. He's just never going to trust a quarterback. That is kind of the knock on him. It takes him a long time to trust. Well, yeah, he trusts Debo.
Well, I wouldn't trust either of them either.
But guy, to win these games, like, you can't. We all acknowledge the defense is really good, but we saw last week holding on for dear life. Like, I don't care if you're playing a Stafford, you're playing with Russell, and they're having a shitty game. At any moment, they can lead back-to-back touchdown drives.
Okay, so
and you're set 14 or 17 points. All of a sudden, you're down 21-17 because you were scared.
Two different things. Like, I think we can. I agree on Kyle's lack of aggressiveness. I disagree that I think there's logic to the way he manages the end of the first half. Let's see if we can hit a play. I don't know why he has to kneel on the football. Let's see if we can hit a play. And then let's see if we can hurry it up.
They're going to run the screen.
That's fine. But I mean, there's no reason to kneel on the football. Let's see if we hit a play. If not, I don't think the Rams had enough timeouts to get the ball back anyway.
They didn't.
So, it didn't end up really hurting them. I mean, to me, there wasn't illogic in it. Like, it was logical. Let's see if we can hit a play. Now, the counter is, well, if you hit a play, like at the end of the Chiefs' first half Super Bowl, there's not enough time left for you to take advantage of it. In this case, there was. They had the timeouts and they had the time. Now, Aikman made a good point after the first play only went for 6 yards. He's like, you're not going to call a timeout. That's fine, but run a play where guys are in the formation on the same side. Now you're running them across. You're taking too much time. I have a problem with the efficiency of it. I don't have a problem with, let's see if there's anything here. If not, let's shut it down, because I do think there is good reason to not trust your quarterback.
That is a fair. Okay, maybe your criticism holds even more weight than mine. They ran the play where they weren't even prepared if it hit what to do, because Jimmy's going like this, and Troy was right. But here's the thing, and again, I'm going to use an example. I'm not comparing to Mahomes or to Tom Brady, but Tom Brady did tell Peyton and Eli last year that when they defer, him and Bill always approach that as a double whammy. We get to separate, right? If we get the ball with under 2 or 3 minutes left to go in the first half, we know we're getting the ball. We're getting minimum double scores, a touchdown, and at minimum a field goal. So we're getting 10 to 14 points. Now, I get it's Tom fucking Brady, but where's that mindset? Do
you think Kyle would call it differently if Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen were his quarterback?
Yeah, but he's never going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable
future. Well, I understand, but that's why you went and drafted. But this is why you drafted Trey Lance.
But he's 2 years away from even thinking about doing that with Trey.
But I'm saying the reason. But he was 2 years away in the 2019 Super Bowl from 2021, and he drafted Trey Lance in 2021. Here we go. Now, Trey Lance isn't their quarterback right now, but I don't think that's what he wants to do.
But he clearly wasn't going to do that with Trey right now either.
Well, not right now, but my point is he clearly understood he has to upgrade from his quarterback that he can't trust to do everything.
Now, reality is I'm arguing over this. He's not going to change at the end of the half. He's going to have no problem going to halftime with timeouts.
Is there good reason to distrust Jimmy at the end of the half?
Like, what's the point in paying all these guys of not being aggressive, especially when you have the lead?
Is there reason to distrust Jimmy at the end of a half?
I don't think you can always do that and expect to win all these games against good teams. You're playing the Chiefs.
Yeah, I just
playing the Raiders coming up. But
when you're the score at the half was what, 14-6? Niners were up 14-6 at halftime.
14-6, yeah.
And they were getting the ball first to start the second half, right?
Yes.
So his thinking is, even if I don't score here, if we can score to start the second half, we can make it a three-score game.
My point, guy, is this symbolic. I'm with you. The score, if you're going to be conservative, you're up a score, you're getting the ball. I do get it, but he would do that 20-6, tie game. Like, that is his move, right? Do we agree with that?
We agree with that. And I just, to me, I separate.
He will go into halftime with timeouts.
I separate the end of the first half, the way he manages that, from the other stuff that we can talk about that happened in the second. To me, those
I agree. They're two separate things, but they do have they're cousins.
They have similar traits. I think I am more with you criticism on the way he manages the second half than the way he manages the end.
Because in the second half situation, when it's 14-9, middle half, a field goal puts them up 8. I get that. Like, obviously, the most you can score in one position is 8 points. So you cannot lose. But I don't even – is that the third quarter when he did that? That was the beginning of the fourth, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, they got stopped at the end of the third quarter. That was the end of the quarter. So at the beginning of the fourth quarter, they had the third down play.
Okay.
So the Jeff Wilson run was second down, end of the third, fourth quarter started.
So I'm just going to pick a normal number. That the Rams, whether you get to fourth down and kick the field goal or go for it, are going to get 3 more possessions. I'll just pick 3. It could be 4, right? Depending on how a quarter goes.
Yeah, could be 2, but
I think
what the first quarter was, because
I would lean typically 3, in fourth quarters. But like the previous week, when you're in that situation, the scores are a little different. This one ensures that on one possession you can't lose it. It does feel like you're just holding on to that rope, praying to God that you don't get in a tie situation.
Yeah.
And if Denver turns out to be a playoff team, who knows? Maybe, maybe not. The Rams, like, clearly they are the cream of your division. They won the Super Bowl. You've been beating them, but like, you are held to their standard. You're chasing what they got. You're in this situation where they've had a quarterback, again, who's struggling, like Russell was last week, who at any moment could go 4 plays, 4 first downs, touchdown to Higbee or Cup, and none of us would be shocked. Even though your defense is awesome. It's football. It's really, really difficult. Why not? I am paying you if I'm Jed York. I hate to even use this, but if I'm Jed York and I'm paying you money that's not really mine, but kind of mine, I have access to, $15 million a year, and you're one of the best offensive coaches in America, high school, college, or pro. You have 2 plays with elite tight end talent, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juice. You're just array of 2 decades, really 3, because you probably stole your dad's plays, of just plays. Kubiak's plays, you fucking got them all.
Mike McDaniel's plays that you have the rights to.
Yeah, you got them all. I mean, anything. Boots, nakeds, nudes, throwbacks, Tim Tebow. I don't even know. I want to see a play that I've never seen. Someone text me, listener to this podcast, Scotty Raber, who's in Hawaii, goes on a lot of vacations. He's like, you know what's crazy? Like, I'm
hasn't
he's like,
yet.
Diehard Niner guy. He's like, he's watching the game last night. He's like, I'm 30 years old. I've been watching Andy Reid my entire life. I feel like every time I watch his team play, I see a play that I've never really seen before. And he's always coming up with innovative stuff. He's like, why doesn't Kyle do that? I'm like, well, the difference is, I don't know if Andy's tied to an offense. He's tied to just creating plays, where Kyle is tied to an offense. So I get they're 2 separate minds. But why can't he just have a couple plays in that you're paying Kyle more than Jimmy? That's Kyle's moment. Like, that's scheme the play. I have no problem with running it, getting stuffed on second down. I get it. Try to hammer it home. Cool with it. We got two downs to go Jeffrey Dahmer. It's a long time ago.
I haven't watched it yet. Was it good?
Yeah, it just killed a lot of people. Jeffrey Dahmer just put the nail in the coffin. Jeffrey didn't have coffins. He just cut their bodies up. But just destroy it. Win the game. A touchdown basically would feel like 21-9 would win the game. And of course, I get a text from someone who's there. The field goal unit's coming out. Of course it is. And it turned out
I texted you after the second down play. He was kicking the field goal.
Yeah, because I asked you. I'm like, do you think he'll kick a field goal? Yes. I text about 3 other people. They're like, yeah, he'll kick a field goal.
He's kicking it to go up 8.
For some reason, I'm hopeful. I'm like, he's not going to go for the fucking kill shot here. No. And 5 minutes later, Middlecoff, see, this is why. Bullshit. Like, I can't expect the Polynesian Ronnie Lott to have a pick 6. I felt like they were going to tie the game, and then we're a Ray fumble away from them getting the ball on the 20-yard line and punching it in. All of a sudden, the Niners lose by like 5. You're like, what the hell just happened? Because when you coach, I'm not asking for Brandon Staley or John Harbaugh being crazy. I don't think it's that crazy to ask him to go for it there. Like the John Harbaugh fourth down.
I'm not saying it's crazy at all.
But he just won't.
I'm not saying it's crazy. I do think
conservative.
I do think ultimately to win a championship, he will have to do some of that. I did understand today even if the Rams drive the field, they're not scoring in the red zone. Your defense.
Well, what's the difference this week than last week? And look how last week happened. Very similar, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not going to win a championship with it. But I do think it's defensible. Like you're talking like it's not defensible. Like
I'm not acting like it's not defensible.
Okay.
I just fundamentally disagree with that mindset. It worked. Like it's not in the history of the league, guy, in like the 80s and 90s, that is always the move when your defense is playing like that. I just think in modern day football, and I'm not pretending to be always chart Brandon Staley, John Harbaugh, but I do think there's a time and a place, and I think that was a moment. It's kind of an FU to them too. Now, Hufanga bailed him out, and I'm not giving Kyle credit on that one.
Well, or their defense just did what it had been doing all game. That's what Kyle would argue, right? My defense just did what it was doing.
Kind of. I mean, they were driving. Hufanga made an incredible play.
They drove the whole game, and then they got stopped in the red zone. The Niners defense didn't, I mean, they weren't giving up touchdowns. They weren't giving up touchdowns, right?
What are the chances if the Rams had scored on that drive that Ray holds on to the ball on the next kick return?
By the way, Marlon Mack, worth the signing. He's the one that recovered the fumble. I told you the second I saw Ray hit that hole with one arm on the ball, I knew it was bad news. I knew it was bad. And I said, I'm done with him. It's his second fumble, and then he had a great return. But to stick on Kyle for a second, yeah, I think he's fundamentally got to get more aggressive. I agree. But I understand that play. The other thing he might say, we haven't heard him talk after the game. I'm rotating one guard spot. I got to back up at the other guard spot. The last play, the second down play we ran, Bobby Wagner came flying through like a banshee and swallowed up Jeff Wilson Jr.
That was sweet, hitting the whole trigger play.
I don't know if he didn't have confidence. You texted me Jimmy Sneak. I actually would have liked the Jimmy Sneak play on second down. I think if you run the Jimmy Sneak play 3 times, you're going to score on one of them, right? Like I would just Jimmy Sneak it.
Has Jimmy ever not got the sneak?
Inside the 1.5, I would Jimmy Sneak it. So
maybe he'd tell you, 99 at any moment could just cause a fumble. They could pick it up, who knows?
It could be, but to me, that's such a low. Like if that happens, that happens. You got beat on a fumble, like whatever.
But I mean, he like smokes one of your guards in the backfield.
I know. I'm just saying, like that wouldn't. I just blame the player. That wasn't the right call.
Well, here's my point, guy.
Wrong call.
He has. He's been coaching now at a high level and creating this mind for 20 years. He used to talk about when he was young, he would just go home and watch sweet players, just developing these. Can you imagine just how many plays he has on the 1-yard line? Got to have a touchdown. You can't tell me he doesn't have 5 on that sheet.
A Debo pass.
Whatever it is. I tweeted this out. These next 2 downs, this is when I was semi-hopeful. This is why I paid Kyle Shanahan. That was not on Debo, Kittle, Jimmy. That's Kyle. Scheme this motherfucker. Get us in the end zone if I'm Jed York.
And but it might not be that. It's not that he didn't call the – I don't think it's that he didn't go for it because he didn't have a play, right? He wanted to go up 8. You know what I mean? Like if you had said, Kyle, you have to go for this, he'd be like, okay, I got 5 plays I like. You know what I'm saying? Don't you think?
I don't know.
It's not that he didn't have a play that he liked. It's that he was not going to get stopped on the 1 yard line.
I think his inclination is just to lean, and you can say he just Mahomes or Brady. He had those guys he would always go. I think he tends to be a conservative
I'm not saying
coach.
that. I'm saying the end of the first half is completely different. That's my point.
No, I just mean in all the situations.
What I'm saying is they're not the same. Like, I think if he had Mahomes, he might have kicked that field goal. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement.
Right, but I'm also saying if he had Mahomes, he would have tried to drive the field at the end of the first half. That's why I separate that thing. I think,
but those two you could use other examples too. I just think he will always lean conservative. That's been the knock on him. That why he likes certain quarterbacks. Like,
it wasn't the knock on him in the Super Bowl.
He likes to play a certain way
against the Patriots.
He likes to play a certain way.
Wasn't the knock on him against the Patriots?
I wonder if that rattled him.
Maybe. Right? That was when he took the Niners job, nobody was talking about how Kyle's conservative.
We have not felt that, have we? Just watching him coach?
No, I don't think so.
Now, he was not the head coach, but maybe that did jar him.
He was of the offense.
Maybe that jarred him.
He also trusted Matt Ryan much more than he trusted Jimmy.
Maybe his comeback would be like, have you ever blown a 28-3 lead? Like, yeah, I haven't.
Have you ever had Barstool getting the entire nation to paste 28-3 on mailboxes throughout the country? People dress up for Halloween as a scoreboard that says 28-3. Someone's going to
have you ever met a team that blew a game that the assistant coach gets blamed? Yeah, I do. That's me. No one even knows who was the head coach of the 28-3 team. You'd be like, Dan Reeves? I don't even. Do you think most people know Dan Quinn like immediately? I think you have to think about it.
People, they think first of Kyle.
Who blew the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl? I think everyone. Oh yeah, Kyle Shanahan ran the. He was
when really it was Devontae Freeman. Wasn't that Freeman that didn't pick up the pressure?
Yeah, and
was running wide open.
Matt Ryan went like that. Yeah.